redefining industry strategies. And to start this insightful session, I would like to invite our chairperson, Shri S.C. Ahluwalia, former DDG Satellite DOT. Mr. Vinod Kaul, RVP, Asia Gilat Satellite Communications, Mr. Anand Dharmapuri, Director Sales and BD APAC Orbit Communication System Limited, and Mr. Brajendra.
Good afternoon, everybody. In this session, we will be talking about in-flight connectivity and maritime connectivity, especially unlocking the advances which have taken place or which are going to take place in in-flight connectivity and maritime connectivity. As you all are aware that everyone wants to be always connected, whether they are in flight or whether they are in maritime or going in a ship, especially the longer durations. Suppose you are going from US to India, 14 hours, 15 hours flight, and if you are not connected, then really you are missing something. So this is necessary because you want to be connected with your family, with your business, or any important events which are happening, you want to have it. At the same time, you want to have your kind of entertainment also, because such a long time you have to be busy or you have to keep yourself engaged. So that's very important. So especially in flights, I'm talking about in flights earlier, maybe 2013, 14, 15, there were in-flight connectivity, that there was a service, internet service or broadband service in flights, but it was in certain portions. Suppose if aircraft is flying over US land area, then there will be some vertical BTS kind of stations. They will be transmitting the signals, and once the aircraft is over the land, they will be getting the service. They were connected. But once they come into the deep sea, nothing is there. So they are not connected. Only the aircraft will have its connectivity with their stations. Otherwise, the customers or passengers will not have anything. So the need was felt that it should be done, and during that time, the proposal came to us. When I was in DOT, DDG handling satellite communication. Then proposal came that, and especially in India, it was not permitted. All the flights coming over India, they were asked to switch off there, because illegally it is not allowed to transmit signal from aircraft to ground or ground to aircraft. That kind of thing was there. So there was a lot of proposals coming from international airlines or Indian air civil aviations that India it should be permitted. Then Government of India decided, okay, in around 14, 15, that we should go for it. And we started getting the data from all over the places, how it is, and what are the technologies available, and what are the rules and regulations available. And once you're crossing the Indian border, then there will be some agreements have to be signed. All those kinds of legal requirements, regulatory requirements, as well as the technological things. So we collected data, we made a proposal somewhere in 2015. Then it was put up to the government, then it has to be circulated to all ministries and everything. So it took time, because there were a lot of apprehensions from the security agencies, the security of our land should not be compromised, and all those things, all questions were there, and they were right, because all the questions have to be answered. Finally, in December 2018, in India, it was permitted. Government of India came out with the regulation, with the permission and guidelines that in-flight connectivity could be provided. So after that, the process started, and the people have started applying for this in-flight connectivity. The aircrafts were equipped with that kind of equipment required for connectivity. And at that time, we could find only that one global player was there, which was covering the seamless connectivity through the globe. That was Inmarsat. Now, of course, it's Viasat. So that otherwise it was a combination of sometimes if one aircraft passes from one area, nowadays some other satellite operator is there, then Intelsat is there, then some other is there. So there was a tie-up. So it was not a seamless kind of thing, because you have to tie up with 4 or 5 kind of operators, satellite operators, and somewhere terrestrial, that vertical transmitters and all. That kind of thing was there. But now things have improved and global services are there. And at the same time, Government of India has also facilitated. That is number one, they have given the permission. And then the facility is that suppose somebody comes for the application, somebody wants to provide this service. The Government of India has decided, okay, all the licenses who are the telecom licensing are there. Those who are having the licenses, access license, and they can have simple authorization from the government. They can apply for the authorization for IFMC services, and they can get that permissions. For that, interministerial committee has been set up, and WPC, which was taking time, NOCC, the processes were taking time. Those were also streamlined. That is, it has been made time bound. Okay, you will give the permission in 3 days. You will give permission in 7 days or something like that. So that way process also has been streamlined. And then there was a question of from which satellite you should get the bandwidth. And getting bandwidth from a Indian satellite or foreign satellite, that was also a question. So that also has been for the last 2 years or 1 year, space policy has come and foreign satellites have been permitted. And now, and in space, that space regulator also has been set up. So the applications can be moved to in space. They will permit if the satellite over India providing services coordinated with Indian ISRO system, Indian satellite system, then that whoever is the IFMC operator can get tie up with that and provide the service. So that sort of policy intervention from the government side also has been done. And technologically also a lot of advancements have taken place. Now satellites also have become high throughput satellites. They are having larger bandwidths. They have multiple beams. The beams are reconfigurable. Suppose you want more bandwidth at one particular place, that can be programmed right from the ground. Then particular area will have more bandwidth and another area will have less bandwidth. Those things are also have been permitted. And on the ground segment also, we have now, earlier we used to have steerable antennas, all sort of antennas. So there used to be difficulties in that. But now flat panel antennas have come. So they will not be moving, and it has inbuilt steerable beams, which can cater to, which will just act like an omni antenna. It is just fitted on the aircraft or on a ship. So that will take care of the optimization of the signals. So those things have already come, and with these advancements, and that's why now the time has come for unlocking the IFMC services. That's the topic for today. That the unlocking, government has done its bit. Now the agencies have to come up and take a plunge and start the services. Maybe in all the aircrafts it can be done. And so of course it will be driven by the demand and supply, all those things, and the revenue and the cost of the service and the profits to the organizations. These factors will drive the services. Now with this opening remarks and with this brief about these IFMC services, now we have a panel of experts here with us. They are experts in their respective fields. One or two persons are from satellite. They provide satellite services from all kind of services. 2 members we have. They provide the satellite equipment and other things like this. So we will listen from them, and we can have questions. And and get the best of it out of it. And to start with, first we'll have a keynote address from Mr. Gautam Sharma. He is from Viasat. Earlier he was in Viasat. Now the Viasat has taken over in Viasat. So from Gautam Sharma to start with.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chairman, for the introductions, and thank you, SIA, for giving me an opportunity to be a key speaker for this particular session. I'm sure the entire audience sitting here, as well as my co-panelists, will agree that this is the most exciting time to be part of SATCOM industry, with the CAGR almost more than 12% and expected revenues of more than $108 billion by 2030. I think this is the most appropriate time to be part of this industry. In addition to this, I think this is all because of still 2.72 billion people are yet to be connected. And similarly, when we come to our topic of in-flight and maritime, we're going to see a major disruption happening in Asia, because if you see today, the total connectivity in the Asia region is just 20%. So there is a phenomenal opportunity when it comes to in-flight connectivity, etc. And as most of you are aware, after Viasat acquired Inmarsat, Viasat has become world's leader when it comes to mobility, and especially in in-flight and maritime connectivity. We have a market share of 40% in aviation and a market share of 60% in maritime. I would also like to share certain important stats. We connect almost 60 airlines worldwide, which include almost 5,000 aircrafts. These are head of states. This also includes commercial airlines as well as business jets. The focus of Viasat remains on two aspects. One is giving passenger experience, and for that we have built a software platform called Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi gives a seamless connectivity experience to passenger, as well as helps airlines to monetize from Wi-Fi. In addition to this, we also are focused on connected aircraft. If we see the industry is not only looking towards in-flight connectivity, they're also looking at a seamless connectivity starting from cockpit to cabin. If I shared a little bit more statistics, more than 95% of transoceanic aeroplanes worldwide use one of our connectivity solutions when it comes to cockpit. And in addition to this, we also give connectivity on within the cabin. I think the dynamics are changing. Now, the latest aeroplanes which have been manufactured, let's take example of Boeing 787. Each aeroplane has thousands of sensors. If I consider Boeing 787, in one of their wing, they will have more than 1,000 sensors. And similarly, they have sensors in cabin, in fuselage, as well as in cabin. And you must be all thinking, what do these sensors do? So the sensors on the wings actually are able to analyze data and ensure that even if there's a minor crack which is not visible with the eye, the airline is able to see that. So the idea here is ensure safety and at the same time also monetize, And now coming back to India, I think we're all looking at how do we unlock aviation in-flight connectivity market. Let me share with you some of the statistics which actually will help us to analyze it better. Today, if we see, we have around 700 aircrafts in India, which cater to almost 1.5 billion population. And if I see the middle class within India, it's almost 300 million numbers, and it's increasing almost every year, almost 100 million. And if I see the number of aeroplanes in US, they have 3,000 commercial aircrafts for a population of 130 million. So that clearly shows that the aviation market is going to pick up. And I think it's also visible in last 2 years where companies like Indigo and Air India has actually ordered more than 500 plus aircrafts. So that shows there's going to be a huge potential. Now, the challenge for in-flight connectivity, if we try to analyze, is majority of the airplanes which we have flying within the cities, they would require a retrofitting to happen, and that's something which is very difficult for airline to even let their airplane be grounded for even 1 day. So I think that's a major complexity which they have. But I think the dynamics are going to change from 2025. 2025 onwards will be the time when in-flight connectivity will be visible within India. We expect at least 100 aircrafts in 2025 would be having in-flight connectivity. But just remember, initially these will be all wide-body airplanes. It's still going to take some time to have connectivity on narrow-body airplanes. So it means when you fly from Delhi to New York or from Delhi to London, you will start getting connectivity from these new aircrafts which will be flying from 2025 onwards. It's still going to take some time on the narrow-body airplanes. And most probably, if I go with whatever my understanding is, it's only going to happen once the existing aircrafts are swapped with new aircrafts. Till then, it's going to be slightly difficult. But I expect by 2030, at least 50% of the Indian aircrafts will be having in-flight connectivity. But again, majority of them will be wide-body airplanes. So I think that's where we are on the aviation side. Coming on the maritime side, the legacy Inmarsat, which was established in 1979, was actually formed under United Nations with the whole purpose of giving connectivity to seafarers. And we, as I shared, we already have a large market share, almost like 60% of the world's market. And when it comes to India, we have, again, around 55 to 60% of the market. And in fact, on the vessel sides also, it's becoming kind of smart vessels, connected vessels. It's not only about just connectivity. They're also looking at, possibility of, utilizing all the sensors and analyze the data and try to find the shortest routes which are possible. And that actually helps them to kind of save on fuel, and that actually also helps on decarbonization. So just to wrap up, the summary of the whole thing is that from 2025 onwards, we will start seeing a good momentum in in-flight connectivity, but it will be still limited to wide-body airplanes, which will be flying from, let's say, from Delhi to London or Delhi to New York. It's still going to take some time before the domestic passengers moving from Bombay to, let's say, Delhi, it's still going to take some time. I think one place where the regulator can a little bit help is if we can try to ensure that we give gate-to-gate connectivity. See, today the challenge is IFMC policy clearly says that we can give gate-to-gate connectivity. The challenge comes from DGCA, which puts certain restrictions. And for a flight which is just a 2 hours flight, if it takes, if it takes 30 minutes for them to start giving Wi-Fi connectivity, the whole purpose gets defeated. So I think that's the place where if Department of Telecom can work with DGCA and ensure that we have gate-to-gate connectivity, probably there will be a little bit more encouragement for airlines to invest on those domestic airplanes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Now, next we'll have from all the panelists, I will request them just to brief themselves and brief about their product and services. Maybe 2-3 minutes every person can take. To start with, Mr. Anand.
Thank you, sir. And at the outset, I need to thank SIA for giving me this opportunity to be part of this panel and present. I'm Anand Dharmapuri. I'm the director for the Orbit Communication Systems. I look after the Asia Pacific zone. Orbit Communication System is an Israeli organization established in 1950. We have several verticals. Since today's our discussion is limited to the maritime and airborne SATCOM systems. We have been in the airborne SATCOM systems since 1992 and also with the maritime for more than 40 years. Now, coming back to the products, I will say in few 30 seconds, airborne systems, we have already done about 70 projects all over the world, both in fixed wings and also in rotary wings. We have majority of the systems both in commercial as well as defense. And in case of the maritime systems, we have our systems already in 27 navies all over the world. And the numbers can be around 4,000 plus. And especially in the Indian Navy, we have been there since 2010, both the C and K band. And we are also having right now both mill grade and also the tri-band systems in the thing. Yes, there is a lot of potential to move into the defense forces also. In India, we have also been supplied the airborne SATCOMs to the UAVs. I think I'll leave it to the audience for further questions. We will take it later. Thank you.
At the onset, I would like to thank SIA for giving me the opportunity to be part of the esteemed panelists over here and be a speaker. Good afternoon, Chairman, my co-panelists and the esteemed guests sitting out over here. I am Brajendra Urmalia and I come from a company called NELCO. It's a Tata Group company. We are the leading satellite communication service provider in India. And, we are one of the first providers to have taken the IFMC license and operationalized the services in India back in 2019. And till now, that's almost 5 years since the licenses were allowed in India. We are the only ones who have activated the service and have live customers both for the maritime as well as the aero services for customers in India. Now, we are there present actively both in aero and maritime, and there are multiple segments, within this. And I think there are points where Mr. Ahluwalia was saying that, back in 2014 is what is the time, when we all started as an industry talking to the government and in terms of, operationalizing the regulations so that, these services can be allowed. And I think till 2019, back then when we started services, all the foreign aircraft. So there was not one service provider globally. There were, I think, a couple of them, so 3 or 4 service providers who are having their own indigenous networks all across the globe. So the entire globe was covered. And there was a very small part of domestic aircraft, which was, or domestic airlines, which was connected to the A2G systems in the US. But the latest news is that they're all migrating from A2C to SATCOM even there. So the predominant technology for the in-flight communications is satellite-based communications. So from 2019 is where we partnered with the leading global providers, and since then all the foreign aircrafts which were then forced to switch off their services while in the Indian airspace, some of those which partnered with us got a seamless service covering India. So you can imagine the plight that, the entire globe was covered with, IFMC services barring India. So India was the only hole that was to be covered. And I think with the right changes in the policy regulations, that could be made possible. Now, having said that, we are also leading, and we also work with Indian companies, Indian airlines, and I think I won't name the airlines, but one of the airlines is what we had already started the services, albeit for the international routes. Back 2-3 years back is the service already started for them as well. So the services have all started in IFMC, but what Gautam was saying is that, in the domestic space, if you see, it is all the existing aircrafts. And for the existing aircrafts to come and deliver the services, it will require retrofitment. So this is an industry that will take time. And as we go along the discussions, I think we'll discuss more on that. Coming to the maritime, I think maritime is a segment which also has multiple sub-segments within it. There are coastal segments, there are Indian customers going global, there are global customers coming to India, and all sorts of mix and matches. And, and there are cruise vessels also which operate out of here. So I think we as an organization are covering all those segments very strongly, and we are present over there. There are certain challenges in terms of enforcing the policies in the right way, so that, the essence of why the policy was made and came into picture should ultimately be, shown onto the ground, and it should see it's correct. So while it has enabled the Indian providers to provide services, and that black hole which was there in India has not gone away, but we also have to now work and in terms of seeing how that can be tweaked further, and the policies can, can actually be implemented right to the end. So I think this is what I would like to end with as our introduction. And as we go along the discussions, we'll take other topics. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Gautam Sharma has already introduced himself. We go to the next panel.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, SIA, for this opportunity. And thank you, Mr. Ahluwalia. So I represent Hughes, and Hughes is a very old name, very old brand. I think almost 80 years as an organization, as a group. And I represent Hughes Network Systems, which is a 50-year-old company, and the global leader in providing entire SATCOM solutions. And when I say SATCOM solutions, which includes providing building blocks to global VSAT operators, in-country VSAT operators who use that technology to set up their satellite service. We also run one of the largest broadband network in the world, with about 1.2 million subscribers on a single network, one of the largest in the world. And we are present in 80 plus countries. Today, one of the largest satellite which is in the space, Jupiter 3, is owned and operated by Hughes, with about 0.5 terabit of capacity over North America. And why I am here, that's an important question. So until a few years back, we were focusing providing building blocks to global IFC service providers, which means giving them the technology, which included the modems, which goes in the aircraft, selling them the gateways, which you need to set up in each country to offer that service, and of course the space segment. And over a decade, our technology helped connect about 1,200 aircrafts with multiple partners, those who used our technology. And focus was not there to go into that service, primarily because the numbers were not great. And coming as a technology company, connecting 400-500 aircraft was not an exciting business to sell equipment, right? Purely because at that stage, every equipment, every aircraft, if you get 1 meg to an aircraft, that was considered as a great service. If you are able to connect, send an SOS, do a message. But over a period, as my colleague said, the model is connected aircraft, and aircrafts are demanding more and more capacity. And today, I think by default, people are offering, Gautam, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, not as experienced as you are in this domain. Typically 5/1 is a service which today people are offering and airlines are adapting. And coming up plans are 20 meg plan, 40 meg plan, 60 meg plan, then suddenly the game is changing. Suddenly, if you look at thousands of aircrafts up asking for 100 meg of capacity, this is becoming a great business, right? And so a few years back, we decided, apart from offering building blocks, let us go ahead and work directly with the airlines. And we launched our global Aero service, which is based in US, Washington. And in a very short period of time, which is about, I think, 12 months, we have won, I think, probably the largest orders. One, Delta Airlines, which my friend was saying in US, moving from A to G to SATCOM. So where we competed with all top IFC players, and we gave Delta right reasons to select us. And very recently, we announced at AIX winning the low-cost carrier AJet, which is part of Turkish Airlines. So now, being part of that American company and having a subsidiary in India, it is but natural to be active here. And we have all requisite licenses around SATCOM, including IFMC authorization. And we have multiple NOCs, and we have a lot of capacity from NSIL satellites, which includes K-band, KE-band.
Especially now the IFMC service just picked up, and it is the unlocking, the word which has been used, that's the right word. So in this growing phenomena, anything you still need from the government so that services could be further facilitated, or it can be, you can say, speeded up, so that all the aircraft should have this service. And Mr. Gautam has just pointed out there are some issues, old aircrafts or gate-to-gate or all those things. In addition to that, I think from the government side, some intervention is required. So maybe 2-3 points everybody can tell. And I would request SIA also to note it, so that the recommendations can be given to government, and government can take action on that. So the Maritime also can be included in that. So let me include everybody then in that case. To start with, Mr. Anand.
Thank you, sir. At this point of time, I would say our business has been predominantly towards the defense, and my experience is in defense. So I will restrict my answer to that. As of now, India has the satellite, defense satellite, and when it comes to the Ka-band and C-band, we already have, and SATCOM systems are available. There is no issue. But when it comes to the new generation, that is the Ka-band capability, that is where we are still lacking. And Orbit actually works along with the Viasat globally. We have all our terminals type approved, and wherever the projects are there, globally, most of the countries where they don't have their own satellite, we work with, as a team, with Viasat providing the entire spectrum. So I see one challenge as of now is that the Ka-band, which is going to be the new activity, or I would say the band which will be available for all, both maritime as well as for the air. This needs to be taken up by the government on a fast track. Parallelly, there is already a program by ISRO to launch Ka-band satellites, which will happen in a year's time. But once we have a Ka-band, you will have a large amount of data rates, which will be again a kind of a driver, and also the meeting the needs of the customers in India.
Okay. Mr. Brajendra.
Thank you. I think there are 2 or 3 things that I would suggest from our side that the regulators should look into. I would start with the first. I think in the maritime, there, as I said, there are multiple segments, and some of the few segments which have need for connectivity, and the need is a dire need, but they are not being able to serve in absence of a right techno-commercial solution. And I would say, one of the biggest market that you can see is for the fisheries, which is, we are having some 200,000 plus boats which are in India, but the affordability is pretty low. That's one part. The connectivity need, do they require connectivity? Yes, the need is there, definitely there. They do need to have connectivity. Probably they may not need a broadband connectivity, for them to stay back, but for them to have the minimum connection with the ground in terms of ensuring their safeties, in terms of ensuring that business are done properly, they need to have a solution. Now, when we do a back-end work, what type of solutions can go onto it? Because if you see the size of the boats and all this, they cannot support hefty equipments. They don't have that much power also. So we need to have, first of all, equipments which are easy to use, which are, small form factors, which have small power requirements, which can work on power backup and which can work on very low bandwidths. Now, when we try to build a solution on that, we see that the need for an L and S band is imminent over there. And therefore, we request government to not only allow the L and S band under the IFNC regulations, but also help in terms of making those spectrum available effectively. I think there is L band which is available, but it's either scarce or it's restricted. It's not available for the open use till now. And there is S band which is available by the government, but it is to be used only by defense and for strategic purposes. So for the commercial use, it is not there. And therefore, a big market is left unserved. So that is one request. Second part, I would say is that, when we are saying that, we are trying to compete with the global partners which are already established in terms of providing the maritime connectivity services across. And when we come and see what is the cost at which we supply, we are providing this service to the customers, our cost compared to the others is pretty high. And the reasons behind that is the spectrum cost is one of the things which is, which comes from the satellite providers, that now with the new space policies that can be looked into in terms of negotiating it better and, bringing down the spectrum costs. But then on top of it, we are loaded with, if we are tying up with a foreign satellite service provider, there is a 10 to 15% WHT that is getting, that is coming as a cost, that increases the cost of the raw spectrum by that much percentage, depending on which country we are buying it from. The second part is, on the revenues that we generate, we have to pay 12% back to the government. That's another 12% increase. So that's a 27% increase of the overall cost that goes back to the government. Now, when we compete with the others, we are already 27% up against the cost of the global satellite provider, and that makes us completely, uncompetitive when we are trying to compete with others. Now, I think, this is an area where the government should look into as to, how they can encourage and help the local providers and the service providers in India for them to be competitive against the global providers, so that we can serve. Because there is a big market that can be served sitting out of India. We have to be competitive. So this was my second point that I wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
The cost point is really, especially for India, the cost is really a factor, because the small boats and all, they won't be able to afford the costs which are prevalent nowadays. And the cost of the bandwidth, of course it is coming down, because earlier, 2 years before, cost of the bandwidth was something else, maybe around 8 to 9 lakhs per Mbps. But now it has come to 2 Mbps per annum, 2 lakhs per Mbps kind of thing. And with further the GSAT 20, the Ka-band satellite which is going to be launched next year, and costs, and it will give the bandwidth availability will be much more. The costs are coming down. Of course, especially for the smaller businesses, costs have to be subsidized or something has to be done. Otherwise, this service for the smaller things, smaller businessmen may not pick up. That is the apprehensions. Thank you.
So before I answer, I'll just add one thing. What Brajendra has been saying, that L-band is not open. So I can assure you that L-band satellite has been approved for us. So in case if you need any capacity, we'll be happy to give you capacity. I don't see there is any more restrictions from the government on L-band, point one. Second, as I said, I think 2025, we will see in-flight connectivity picking up, because today it's just 7, 8 airplanes and it's going to be like 100 plus. And I think from government perspective, they've done whatever they could. That's how I see. They've been quite, they're trying to be as supportive as they can. The challenge remains on the business case for domestic airlines, especially the ones flying within India, 2.5 hours flight. And I think the only thing which can encourage them a little bit would be if, what I mentioned earlier, if DGC and DOT can actually sit together. They did try, I think, last year. but then still there is some disconnect, because as per the policy, our understanding is it's gate to gate, but then the instructions from DGC are slightly different. So in case if you connect services after 30 minutes, so you hardly get an hour. So it just defeats the whole purpose. And second could be, and I don't think that's feasible, where you kind of make it mandatory for airlines. One thing is very clear: all the new aircrafts which will be coming will be line fit. So I think it's a matter of time. Maybe, as I said earlier, we will see a huge in-flight connectivity demand, especially from on the long-haul flights. It may take 5 or 6 years by the time when they replace the domestic airplanes, and those aircrafts come fitted with some kind of terminals that the real in-flight connectivity will start. Yeah, so I think gate to gate is what government can look at, and second, if there is any way they can support airlines with some kind of a business case, probably that will help. Thank you.
I have a couple of points to add. First of all, I very strongly concur with Brajendra, who has just said that L-band and S-band needs to be allowed beyond BSNL. Today, L-band is offered only by BSNL, and there are a couple of other global players who can offer L-band, which will means that we will have a competitive service, more options for the end customer to choose, and probably a better price. That's one. And of course, S-band is today with the government. That's something, if that is allowed, that will also help. And for two simple reasons. One is, of course, L-band can be used in many other areas, including maritime. But if a service provider like us intend to offer a complete managed service to an aircraft, then we need to be able to offer cockpit services as well as the broadband service. And today, for the cockpit services, it's L-band which works best, and that's one area. So that's what I'll add. And then, cost perspective, of course, today we have access to a lot of capacities, and ISRO is launching GSAT 20 soon, and there will be K-band capacity available. And availability of LEO services, which includes OneWeb, which already got approvals and pending spectrum allocation. Once that capacity comes in, then there will be significant improvement in costing. But yes, practical factors when you offer services on the ground, the size of antenna can help you get better performance. But unfortunately, due to the limitations of the weight, and to limit the fuel penalties, you can't put a very big antenna on aircraft, right? So the performance is relatively lower. That also ends up, making that expensive. Couple of other points. One, today I don't think there is any real MRO in India. And today, if an airline intend to, implement in-flight connectivity, most of the time they have to send this aircraft outside country, which means longer lead time and longer downtime, which means loss of revenue. And that's what inhibits them from adopt IFC. They're not able to afford 10-15 days per aircraft downtime, right? So there are MROs in India, those who do, a little bit of work, but majority of work happens outside, and really not that big countries, right? Then, today we are all talking about that these aircrafts are not connected, which clearly means they come in an underserved or unserved category, right? And especially for the domestic aircrafts. Can government look at, providing some support till the broadband is adopted in airlines by some funding coming from USOF, right? It's fine. Why the USOF funding goes to rural? Because it's unconnected or underserved. Airspace is all unconnected and underserved. Why it can't be considered in that category, at least initially, to give some capex support. I think that's good with me now. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Dharmendra. Very nice point to say that you also should fund a business, commercial aviation. That's one I think I hope the government listens to this. But I think a couple of points I'll add. One is that this point I would like to be on the marine side. This is something which the government should come into place, considering the security aspect. We have seen incidents happening in India on the marine side, and fishing boats and such trawlers have been used to have security breaches. I think on the marine side, government has said that there is a challenge on two aspects. One is the terminal price, and then second, he said about other aspects of how to do it on the side and everything. But the terminal price, I think the government should, they have done something on the mandatory side of it to say that they should be connectivity, but it's not very strict. It's kind of an informal communication that they should be connected, but it's not a very strict guideline that they should have a terminal, two-way terminal with this kind of a minimum capacity. I think that's why the government should form a strict guideline to do that as well. And currently the price of the terminals are not meeting, the fishing boat trawler, we cannot really afford that kind of a number. So I think that's where the funding from some kind of a government agency should come into picture, considering the security aspect of such a connectivity, and the government can monitor at least all the fishing boats, trawlers by setting up such kind of a network. So that's one point which the government should look into it. And the second point I agree with this S-band should be allowed for commercial services also, besides only for the defense side. And on the K-band side, K terminals, to advance K-band, land mobility, aero mobility, and also maritime side, the K, there should be a specific K satellite for the defense forces, which will make the connectivities and better in that segment. Thank you.
One point I would like to add regarding fisheries. There was a project done by Gautam, and there is a very small level which can be just powered by the batteries, which is the basic thing which is used by the fishing boats. This particular project was driven by the Ministry of. This project was directly driven by the Ministry of Fisheries, and each and every node was given this kind of equipment. The cost of the equipment was less than 10,000 rupees, and all they could do was they can connect their own mobile and they can inform whether there is a problem or no problem, and the owner of the boat can see in their own either on a terminal or on the TV. This project was very successful, but this is not the right forum, but I would say there were some challenges in-house within the fishery departments which did not materialize. So just for the audience, that there has been a lot of effort from the government, which I was directly having some information. I thought it's for the benefit of the audience, please.
Thank you. Hello. I think a lot of issues about the frequency bands, L band, S band, Ka band. Ka band, of course, as I said, he has also said that GSAT 20 is coming. It's having around 48 GBs of capacity. Even defense can hire some of the capacities from that. So there's no issue. But only one issue, you have to be, there's some ground segment limitations on that. That could be checked up before planning your networks. And L and S band, of course, L band, S band, 6 GHz, there are a lot of takers for that. Because the mobile services, they want to grab all the bands. And there's a lot of competition going on, and there's a lot of lobbying going on that they want to have, because 5G, 6G, all kind of services are coming, and they want huge bandwidth in all the bands. So this will go on, and let us see how far it goes, because the priorities change, and the large number of customers want mobile services. So some trade-off has to be made. Because both services, the satellite services, IFMC services, they are also very important. And urgent services, this cannot be done on it. Or mobile services also has to be done. So there has to be the pull of Mr. Garg is here, WPC chairman. He knows the complexities of the allocation bands. So this will be worked out by the government. TRI is also working. Government is also working. SIA is also putting up its efforts to so that all the bands are optimally utilized. With this, I think we are coming to an end. We will take some questions from the audience, maybe 2-3 questions, and then the session will be ended. Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. This was an interesting presentation. Thank you to the organizing committee for allowing me to attend this, and thank you for allowing me to ask the question. I'm Venkatraman Patnaik. I'm in grade 7, and coming to the question, if you see in any air service of Wi-Fi or internet, we can see that connectivity is very low. Geostationary satellites, of course, link us to mobile towers that are very common. And then these mobile towers will connect back to these airplane so that we can connect through airline Wi-Fi. And this process is very slow and also very expensive. So therefore, you pay some heavy amount for this Wi-Fi, and you end up not getting so good of a service. So you get a range from 5 to 35 Mbps. That's not a good speed. So therefore, with newer technologies and with direct communication, with newer opened up frequency bands like S and L bands, how can we improve and make Wi-Fi service cheaper, not just on land in general, but also for other purposes like air and maritime?
I think basically your question is about the cost. The cost should be less, no? Okay, I think Mr. Sharma will answer this question.
Thank you for asking this question. I think you mixed two things. I think you were talking about air-to-ground network. So I don't think we have air-to-ground network in India. Air-to-ground network is provided in Europe by us along with Deutsche Telekom, and probably that's a cheaper solution, but also gives a good amount of connectivity. I do understand your concern on slow speeds, but I think those days are gone now. You get good amount of capacities. If you would have flown any of these airlines like Cathay Pacific, etc., or even Delta, I'm sure you would have got good connectivity. So I don't think connectivity remains an issue. See, you have to also remember most of the applications which you use in airplane don't, latency is not a major issue there. Probably that's what you were trying to talk about. Majority of applications just need good amount of capacity. And on the price side, I think things are changing. India is a little bit behind, but if you see US, most of the airlines have started giving free of cost services. So the way they are going to monetize is going through advertisements this is what I was trying to explain. We have a Wi-Fi portal, which actually helps for a passenger to have a seamless connectivity. At the same time, it also gives an opportunity for airlines to run advertisements and try to monetize from there. We remember there are no bots in airlines. So that's something airlines like, the passengers who are flying, they are the real customers. So I think eventually, if I see how things are today, you can actually expect similar kind of Wi-Fi connectivity what you get on land while flying, and some of the airlines in US, they're giving it free of cost. There are some certain traditional airlines like Lufthansa, British, which give free services in the business class, but they charge some, in economy. But I tell you, eventually, even Indian Airlines will move to the same level where they will continue to give good capacity and they will be eventually free of cost. They'll try to monetize money from advertisement. And that's something where we're working very closely with airlines worldwide. So it's a matter of time. By the time you will be 10 in class 10 standard, you will be able to, figure out free Wi-Fi over India.
Can I add to it a little bit? Yeah.
Mr. Sharma, I'll just add one or two sentences. See, airlines are giving free, but they will increase your ticket, okay? Nobody is giving free. Number two, now satellites have become powerful. They have more bandwidth. Ka band is being used. So once bandwidth is up more, then speeds will automatically increase. So these two things are there. And speed also depends upon, suppose there are 100 passengers in the plane. So everybody is using, how many are using 10%, 5%? That also depends about the speed, because the channel is there and more number of people are using and downloading the heavier files. So that also matters. On the ground also you must have seen, suppose in a house, if everybody is downloading the larger files, then speed will certainly go down. So all those factors are there, but now the technologies have come up, more satellites are more powerful, and this lacuna also will be removed. And as Mr. Sharma has told, in the times to come, there will be speed as on the ground, it will be available everywhere, even in the flight, even in the ships, the speeds will be there. And the cost, of course, it is a trade-off, because they also have to make money and they have to get it from you, either through free or through ticket or something. They will get it. Okay.
Yeah. See, if you look at the cost, there are three key building blocks. One is the satellite capacity. So today, the next generation satellite, you are hearing a lot of low Earth orbit satellites. They can pack in a lot of gigabits of capacity within the same cost. Today, if you look at, you launch a standard geostationary satellite, for an example, in $200 million. Today, by reusing the frequency, within that, you can generate terabits of capacity, right? So one capacity, dollar per Mbps is going to come down. Second, the terminal, the ship set, which goes into the aircraft, had limitation, right? And most of the aircrafts, those who have systems today, are the legacy. They are the early adopters of the technology. And the technology at that point of time was not really advanced. But the aircraft, as Mr. Gautam said, are coming now, or once these aircraft will be refurbished, they will have system on board which will be able to deliver hundreds of Mbps to a connected aircraft, right? Means you will be able to have the faster service. Price and cost, that all depends on the business models and how lucratively the service providers like NELCO can provide the service in us, right? Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think they have covered all the points. I think one of the points that you added was, adding of bands of LNS. So I just want to give you a heads up, because you're, and it's for everyone else. LNS bands are not broadband bands. They are supposed to be narrowbands or IoT narrowbands. So they will never be able to support high speed bandwidth capacities. And just a clarity on that.
Okay, we can have two more questions. That's all.
Thank you. I'm Riaz here. We heard about the challenges the industry is facing on airborne and marine communication. So with the coming in of NGSO fleets, will it address most of the challenges, mainly on the commercial and viability side for commercial operations as well as military operations? Thank you.
Yeah. I think, one of the aspects that can be answered by them is that, we are able to pack more capacity at a lower cost. So I think the cost aspect is something that can be looked to, do a set off when it comes to maritime based connectivity, because the antenna size and overall cost of the equipment goes down, and to a great extent that would help. Now, when we come back to the Aero connectivity, now that is where again it may not be a straight answer, because there's no single solution that we foresee as now that LEO or a NGSO solution would come and that will fulfill the entire requirements of any fleet. One, because there is a lot of aircraft which are already fitted with the equipments, so they cannot be changed overnight, because there's a big investment that's already been done on that. If you have to change, you have to make another investment to it, and also you have to ground the equipment. So as the problem that we are speaking about in the retrofitment, the same problem will be there in terms of changing the existing fleet. So I think that answer may not be directly for the existing fleet, but for the new fleet, yes, the new antenna can be there. It can help in terms of enhancing the bandwidth experience, but also there will be a limitation onto it, because you see the overall architecture of even the NGSO satellites, they also have a limitation in terms of serving a particular capacity. We say that they'll support up to 200 Mbps or 400 Mbps. That doesn't mean that only a single terminal will take away that. Because if single terminal takes away, the rest of the entire geography will not be able to serve. So there will be a trade-off over there. So the capacity will be shared, and again that would be there. So, and also there will be some busy areas like some airports where you'll see more of the connected aircraft that would be there in the concentrated area. Now, to serve them, you'll require enough capacity. To a single LEO solutions may not help over there. You need to bring in capacities from other satellites also. So I think going forward, multi-orbit, multi-satellite, multi-technology, solutions are something that would be the answer for these things. So the antennas that will go over, install on the aircrafts would have to support multi-orbits and multi-technologies.
Yeah. Can I add to it?
Please.
Yeah. So for sure, answer is yes. The NGSO will solve the problem to some extent. One, all mostly, whether it is LEO or MEO constellations, they have global coverage. Means one single service provider will be able to serve the aircraft across the world, wherever it is flying, barring where the regulatory challenges are there or there are some sanctions, right? I think Inmarsat Global Express was the first such constellation, which one constellation covered entire globe with 3 satellites, right? Then now another thing which NGSO does, today adoption is not there because of the 600, 700 millisecond latency. Then suddenly the latency comes down to 60, 70 or 100 millisecond depending on how far that LEO constellation is, right? So you get home-like broadband in an aircraft, which means there is perceivably no difference, and then that will help adopt. Third, today de facto there is one single antenna or two very similar with about 400 kilogram of weight, which go on an aircraft, adding huge drag factor and bringing a lot of fuel penalties, right? With these NGSOs, the size of the antenna and the weight of the antenna is going to go down significantly. Today, Hughes has an ESA, which is just 43 kilograms, vis-a-vis the most prominent antenna which goes today with Redom is 400 kilograms. Look at the difference. And of course, the performance, right? So it will help, but as Brajendra said, you will have to still stitch the solutions, because if there is an American constellation, probably that is not allowed to give service over Russia today, right? If it is a Russian constellation, that is not allowed to do service elsewhere, right? You will still have to stitch the solution, bring in multiple partners, but I'll say it will help 70-80%, help solve the problem 70-80%, for sure. Thanks. That's my view.
Just one answer to this. On the technology front, when you look at India, so we have new satellites which are even geo satellites, where software-defined beams are there, which enable follow of aircraft, follow a route, follow a particular busy area. So from the NGSO perspective, it is going to be a mix of a solution. It's not going to be only LEO or only geo. It has to be mix of LEO and geo, and the technologies which are being made, like ESA, new antennas, which are capable of handling both LEO and geo satellites, both at the baseband level as well as the antenna level. So I think the direction as we move forward is multi-orbit, both from the satellite front as well as the technology front. I think both of them are ready. Now it's about adoption by the airlines. That's where the challenge is, because of retrofit and line fit. So that's a challenge. But the technology front, both the baseband, the antenna, and the satellites are available, which can provide a better connectivity to the airlines. It's about time, as Gautam said, it's kind of 3 to 5 years. Everything is going to get streamlined and things will become better. Thank you.
Just one last point on maritime. Right now, the maritime antennas are coming up with multiple bands. So when you are having the KU, and KU also has got a extended and commercial band. So that is one of the other solutions which can move to the. Thank you.
Time, and I'll just summarize in a minute. Now the government policies are in place. Government is trying to facilitate that IFMC services are further speeded up. The satellites have improved a lot. High throughput satellites, LEO, GEOs, and hybrid technologies are available. Airlines have to tie up with the respective vendors, and they have to provide the services. The bandwidth will be available, the speeds will be available, and the future is bright. And once all these things are in place, the customers, as it is, they are always demanding the service. The applications are available, content is available, and the future is very bright for IFMC services. And let's hope. And with this, I think with these remarks, I'll close the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the panel members for providing such valuable insights during this discussion. To honor their dedication and insights, we will now proceed with the felicitation ceremony, for which I request Shri S.C. Ahluwalia and Mr. Gautam Sharma to please come forward and felicitate all our panel members. I request the panel members to please come forward. Mr. Dharmendra Singh, Mr. Vinod Kaul, Mr. Vinod Kaul, Mr. Anand Dharmapuri, and Mr. Brajendra Urmalia. And now I would like to invite Mr. Rajat Ali, SIA-INDIA Senior Advisor, to please felicitate Shri S.C. Ahluwalia, former DDG Satellite, and Mr. Gautam Sharma, MD, Viasat, India. I request you all to please come forward for a group photograph. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we'll take a short tea break before commencing our last session for today.